Welcome to the UFC 303 recap, episode 174, the Beefy Boys Breakdown. Man, how you doing on this beautiful Sunday?
I've been better. I've been a better as well.
Yeah,
Did cash a bet. Got very close to a two-leg parlay at plus 716, which would have been absolutely awesome. Yeah, I mean, I'm okay. I'm probably feeling about the same as Jiri. Probably better, actually.
yeah, a little less concussed for sure. Man, I'm repping Reno. I'm repping the 775. Peyton Talbot is him.
He
We
is.
got one.
He
We
is.
got a guy. We got a guy. Shout out Reno. Shout out Northern Nevada. Fucking any shreds on the skateboard. Reno skater is literally one of the best like bantamweights. Like my mind is like struggling to comprehend. Merch literally ordered on the way, and yes, I'm ball washing.
Bro,
What's good?
I might have a hot take, and we'll save it for when we do get to the prelims and break his fight down and everything, but I actually think his, anti-character is his character, which is going to sell for him.
That's what Ariel was saying. Man, I feel it. I think there's never been a time. I don't know if Peyton Talbot sells in like 2011, but in 2024 there is a market for a Peyton Talbot. Yeah.
100%. Like, he's in a niche market that's going to call out to a lot of fans that just want the humble appreciation of the sport. And are just like, honestly, he seems like uninvested, which is crazy because he's obviously insanely good.
No, for sure. And we'll do, like I said, I'm sure I'll wax poetic about Peyton Talbot on the prelim segment. But man, we got a main card. More specifically, we got a main event because this main card was main event heavy. This card was not looking great. And then what does Poatan do, dude? The guy saves the fucking day every time.
Every
Saves
time.
UFC 300, saves International Fight Week. Like, the guy is soaring, like, high as you can soar.
Gave us, he broke the stylebender reign of 185, actually broke the storm clouds that was 180. Because if you think about 185 before he's there, it's just the same shit over and over and over. He beats him, obviously loses, moves up in weight, and all of a sudden 185 is a very fun division again. Like, he re-energized 85, came to 205, and shut the lights out on everyone that we thought was a legend or was a contender in this division over and over. Is training with Glover, and has maybe the coolest personality, fight day, walkout, everything
All
about
of it.
everything about him, and it's all genuine. He would do it if it wasn't to market.
Stole Izzy's walkout belt. Like, Izzy can't have shit. Izzy had the best walkouts in MMA for years. I mean, for years.
Yeah, but that shit is nice.
Best.
That shit is nice.
It's the best. The best. My wife was watching it with me, and I mean, it's just undeniably entertaining. Undeniably entertaining. It's like a Super Bowl halftime show or something. It's just like it's the best walkout ever. I don't give a fuck. It's better than Weidman. It's better than Izzy. It's better than MVP.
I was about to say, it's definitely better than his fucking MVP. But you know what else is better about it? His fighting. He backs it up every single time, and he brings a thunderous left hand. Well, this time it wasn't even the left. The left did get a knockdown, but not the one that ends the fight.
The post-fight showed Chael actually made what I thought was a kind of decent point. I mean, while still being a Chael-ass point, is that Poatan basically beat him twice. He's basically 3-0 against Jiri. I mean, he got 2 knockouts in one night.
That's the most Chael take, but it's not untrue. Jiri was Jiri got flash KO'd right there when he got hit with that check left to end the first. He was on the ground doing this when the horn had already sounded, so you knew he wasn't there.
You're being generous and saying flat. Bro, that was I'm with Chael on this. That was a straight up knockout. He was saved by the bell. I've never seen a more definition
here's
of saved by the bell.
Is the KO that ensues 13 seconds following that is way different. Way different. Yeah. That head kick is lethal. Jiri drops like a slug. His ankle folds backwards underneath him. It was that KO was a KO. That's what I'm saying. Flash.
Real quick before we get to the finish, how did you score round one? I haven't looked at anybody else's scorecard because clearly they weren't needed. But I gave round one a 10-8. Am I crazy?
You know what?
So you probably disagree, but
I had it as 10-9, but I literally had written that before that knockdown. So it's almost 10-8's very, very, very I have no problem with it, in fact. Now, I think every judge went 10-9.
My exact logic. Hey, the judges need to quit writing them 10-9s in with 10 seconds left.
Yeah, every
Seriously,
judge
like
went 10-9.
there's no logic because you're right. It was already a 10-9, and then you almost kill a guy. Like,
bro, and then like
that's the logic.
When we get to the KO here, you could argue that Jiri was still like dazed or whatever you want to say, but the setup
he for sure was. But
the setup was clearly planned because Planillo Cruz talked about it. That Alex Pereira saw a video where Yuri's warming up, and every time his coach is throwing leg kicks at him, he would slide back and drop his hands. And so Poatan knew if I fake the leg kick and just go high, like question mark essentially, I'm going to hit him right in his head. He said that to Planillo Cruz before the fight. He said, I'm going to head kick this guy and knock him out.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, it's a fact. Like, it's not that, a professional kickboxer didn't have head kicks, but, like, up until this point of his career, we haven't really seen him use it a lot in MMA matches, and, like, at least in the UFC. And, like, just like Teddy Atlas in the post-fight show was making a good point. Like, you give this guy another weapon? Like, and it's a weird take because it's not like he didn't have it. Like, right, he's a professional kickboxer. Of course he knows how to use a head kick. But now that, like, guys are going to be thinking about that head kick, they're already thinking about the leg kick. They're thinking about the left hook. Bro, guys that are about to fight Pereira aren't going to be able to sleep.
I think the whole key to fighting Pereira is having a strong defensive right side. Like, your right hand better never leave your chin the whole time you fight him. Because his left weapons are so insane. But also, like, to be fair, it's not like his right hand doesn't have power. It's just not the left. It's like Crow Cop, right? Like, both high kicks will put you out. It's just one is way more lethal than the other.
Yeah, and that was a lead leg high kick, which is, like, in theory, the less powerful of the two. Like, oh, God, man, this guy Pereira. Like, it's almost like NFL coordinators, when they're about to play Tyreek Hill, they're like, well, I can't really, like, game plan for this. Like, this guy has something that I don't have. They're like, I'm not going to get any sleep tonight. Like it's that, bro. Pereira has something that your fighter doesn't have. He has a different, like, caliber of gun. He's fighting. You're bringing a knife to the gunfight, man. If you're signing on that dotted line to fight Pereira, that's how I'm feeling today, bro.
You know what's crazy is he turns 37 1 week from today. He's still maybe one of the fastest guys at 205. Like, his speed is unbelievable. How fast that kick got up and just connected and was back down. I mean, for 37, I can't fade his age even still. Like, he's the best fighter on the planet, in my opinion.
Yeah, bro. Like
I think him and John Jones is a good fight. I think him and Aspinall's a dangerous fight for Aspinall.
It is for sure. But, like, I think Ankalaev is going to happen next because those guys both have those guys are both that fight sign. So,
it needs Jones to happen, and I don't want to see Jones. I honestly am in the camp of, like, Jones and Pereira. I need to see that after I see Jones and Aspinall, or Pereira and Aspinall, like, however you want it. I just need to see Jones and Aspinall figure out who gets to fight Pereira before one leapfrogs the other. Because I think the heavyweight division, it's just been so logjam for 6 years now, man.
Well, still is, but that's to my point. Like, I think next for Poatan is got to be Ankalaev. Yes. And like I said, if you're giving me plus 200 on Pereira, like, I'm going to make some irresponsible financial decisions. Like, straight up, like, I don't care that he's from Dagestan. I don't care that he can wrestle. If you watch his fights, he doesn't wrestle that much.
He's gonna try to throw leg kicks, and Pereira will destroy your legs for leg kicking, which is gonna hurt his takedowns.
I am going to bet so much money on Pereira. Like, seriously, I've never actually emptied the tank on a bet. I've had very, like, responsible, what I like, just, like, using my tip money from the week and shit. Like, I don't get over my skis. I bet responsibly, as they say. Like, I might bet my fucking paycheck, dog. It's crazy how much, like, belief I have in Poatan right now. And, like, just, I'm not an Ankalaev guy. I've watched so many bad Ankalaev fights, as have you, right? Like,
100%. And if he tries to strike for even a minute, he's going to be in super hot water.
Yeah, the hottest of water. And then as far as Jiri goes, I know you talked about a little bit before we went live, is that how he made the video saying, like, I've either got to level up or retire, which is a really dope mentality, a mentality that more fighters need to have. Like, Anthony Smith needs to look himself in that mirror.
Holy shit, we're going to get to that soon.
We will, but like more fighters need to have that mentality. Like if I can't go out there and like be a leg, like this ain't something you just go take ass whooping. You know what I'm saying? Like there's too much on the line, like your health, yeah, you can't just go out there and just get beat up.
I think that's where Jiri is at, right? Because it's not like the Rakic fight was easy. That fight was close as hell. He took bad damage the first round before he finished him in the second. And it's like,
for sure.
That happens to Jiri in every single fight. Now, whenever he was going, climbing the ladder, getting his title shot, winning the belt, it's all worth it. But when you're losing for the belt twice and you're taking horrible, horrible damage, it's almost like the realization of, maybe I'm not the best in this weight class, and if I'm not the best, why am I putting my literal health on the line? Because his fight style is not conducive to healthy living.
No, it's not. And also, I saw a post on X about how, yeah, he's only 31, but apparently he went pro when he was 19, and he's had a lot of damage. Like all of his fights have been crazy.
I think he has 38 fights or something like that now.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, he's not. So he's not old age wise, but he's a lot of miles.
He's dog years. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like those fight years are like dog years.
No, 1,000%, 1,000%. And I mean, that being said, Jamal Hill works all day, every day. They both got slept bad. They're both coming off bad KOs. Like they're both former champs. That fight works all day, every day. I think that's just kind of makes itself. But Jan Blachowicz might have to fight somebody. I don't know if you're gonna match up Ankalaev and Pereira. Jan Blachowicz has got to fight somebody. And then I don't know, do you do Hill and Prochazka, or do you do Hill Blachowicz, and then maybe you let Jiri fight back? Maybe you let them both rest. You let Roundtree finish off his suspension, and you do Jiri Roundtree, which that's a dangerous fight for Jiri still.
That's a way more fun fight though. I actually would love that fight. I mean, although Roundtree with the leg kicks is going to be a major problem for Jiri in that. I'm okay with Jiri taking a good 6 to 8 to 9 months off. Really, but
that's what I'm saying. Roundtree has, I think, a 9 more months on his suspension or something like that. So I think that timeline could work.
I almost wonder though, is there going to be someone else that might climb up a little bit in that time that we might care to see more? Yeah, that's what I mean. An Olberg Jiri is way more interesting to me.
Really? Okay. I mean, sign me up for either one. Honest, I don't think you can mismatch. You can't match make Jiri poorly because of just how exciting he is.
Yeah,
they're all bangers. He's an automatic banger matchup for literally anybody in the division. I mean, yeah, no, for sure. There's so many. Even a Guskov, because in theory, Jiri should be levels above Guskov, but with Yuri's chin and Guskov nukes, you ain't taking a pee break. I'll tell you that much.
And I'll be honest, Blachowicz, interesting fight there too for him.
Yeah, Blachowicz has got to fight somebody. He hasn't fought in a hot minute.
And I kind of fading Blachowicz's age and speed there. But yeah, let's keep it pushing. This next fight we got to talk about. It should probably be the biggest storyline of the night, in all honesty.
Well, besides Pereira being a goat,
this might be more. Taken. This might take more balls. Might be more legendary in the sense of Dan Ige was just sitting at his house watching the card and was like, "Oh shit, yeah, I'll come fight, sure."
Yeah, no, so cool. Literally saved the card. The card without this fight, or the card, if this whole match gets scrapped, if we don't get Diego Lopes.
If Smith Dolidze is my co-main, this is the worst pay-per-view of the year. It's not even a question. Even with the Pereira knockout. Doesn't matter.
Maybe the past couple of years, right?
It would be bad.
Really bad. Yeah, so this fight had to happen. All the credit in the world to Ige. All the credit in the world
to Lopes. Balls in a wheelbarrow.
Basically, weighed in 3 different weight classes in a 36-hour span. Because I think it was the night before he was 46. Weighed in at 51,
55, and then 61.
Yeah, 55 and 61. Yeah, I mean, so epic. We don't really got to go round by round. This fight was really, really straightforward to score. Round 1 and 2 to Lopes. Every time Ige would kind of get close, Lopes would just kind of let the hands go. Mm-hmm. And then Lopes, he had the sub attempt in the first round that was super, super close. The Gilly transition to it, the Darce, that was super nice. I like Lopes. I've seen some people on X and shit trying to say, oh, suspect gas tank and shit. I think that was more. I've heard a lot of people say this too, so I'm not trying to act like the smartest guy in the room. Like, so much mental shit had
Oh
going
yeah.
on, and then you like almost finish him in one. You like you're, and then in round three, you find yourself of like your third weigh-in, your second opponent, and you're in the third round. You almost won the fight like 4 different times already, and he's still standing there. Like, I'm not even saying he cracked mentally. I'm just saying like you would almost have to be like a sociopath to like not be having crazy anxiety in that moment. You know what I mean?
I also think Ige was 3 weeks out from his fight, so like he's in prime fight condition. Like all he's doing is his hardest rounds right now, and so effectively, like if we're just talking fighting and he doesn't have to cut the weight before, he's going to be in his best cardio for 15. That's just 100%, right? Because like the weight cut is what usually sucks the cardio out of guys, and so we might have froze up
This
here.
is crazy. You froze up. We're both on Wi-Fi. This makes no sense
All
at all.
right, we're back. We're back. Are we?
Yeah, you're froze up. Right?
Sorry for that. We had some internet issues there, but yeah, we were just talking about Dan Ige essentially being in that fight shape. He hasn't started his weight cut, and so I'd imagine that as a fighter, when you're training, much like Sean Strickland, when you're not cutting the weight, you have your best possible cardio. And if you're in a camp and you're 3 weeks out, usually the last 2 weeks is like a tapering. It's more of a weight alignment. Clearly, the last week is just weight cutting. So it seems like he might have had one more hard week of camp that he was
peaking.
Yes,
He was peaking.
exactly right. And so it's like if he's not having to cut the weight, I would expect Ige to be at his best for this 15. So for Lopes, it's almost like if he fades late, yeah, he made the weight cut. He's recovering. Like he's gone through the full extent of a fight camp and had to weigh in 3 different times. Like, I figured Lopes losing the third that was all good with me.
Me too. And for all those reasons you just listed is why I'm not that stoked on a rematch. The hot take on the internet seems
Oh
to be that like,
no.
oh no, bro, we're in the minority. The whole internet wants this rematch, and I'm like, dude, Lopes is way better. Like, I'm sorry. Like,
Yeah,
I know
at
Ige took
featherweight,
it on.
if Ige has to cut weight, he's gonna get smoked.
Thank you, thank you. I've been reading all these tweets and shit, thinking that like I'm crazy. I'm like, because as somebody with my own power rankings, after this fight, I go to like power rank this, and bro, Ige has lost to so many people that like Diego Lopes would smoke.
I know. It's not even really that close in my opinion. Like Diego Lopes feels like top 5, and it feels like Ige is like 15-10.
I have after last night, even including what I saw last night, I have Lopes at 6 and Ige at 16. Like, yeah, like I don't think they're the same caliber guy, and like apparently we disagree with all of Twitter, which shout out to us because that is a mark take.
Yeah,
That's
a
some
casual
shit.
take. Yeah,
It is a casual take. Thank you. I'm like watching this. I'm like, am I like, not can't see the forest in the trees here? But no, like Ige, he didn't have to cut weight. It was like, no, really you can't lose here. It was all nothing to lose. You got a big bag. Like, I don't know, bro. You're the hero. You're saving the day. You're shining your own wheels. Like, Diego Lopes trained his whole camp for. That's another thing. Diego Lopes trained his whole camp for a jiu-jitsu guy, and then he has to fight like a power striker. Like, you give Diego Lopes a camp that's like a boxing heavy camp. Dude, we're in lockstep here. I'm super glad that you agree with me because I was like, am I crazy? Because all I saw on Twitter was just, oh, book the rematch at the Sphere, book the rematch at the Sphere. That's such a weak sauce take.
If you want to book a rematch, then make it Evloev or give him Yair. Like he deserves a top 5 guy, and because Ortega, which that's what we're not talking about, is Brian Ortega being just the most straight up. I fever 103. I don't know. I don't really care. He just seems bitch made the whole way he approached this whole fight.
Well, and the media brought it up to Dana after the fight. The media was like, did Ortega seem off this week? And then Dana was like, yeah, something weird. Was like he was being weird all week. Like,
yeah.
Everybody just kept using the word weird, and like they wouldn't say like super negative words, but like they were using words like weird and off.
I got the vibe he did not want to fight. Like it seems like he does not have the will of a fighter right now, which is so weird for Brian Ortega.
Well, I mean, remember in my breakdown where I was like, that doubt seems to be like creeping in Ortega's head, like he knows he's not. I brought all this up in our betting breakdown. Like, I'm not trying to shine my own wheels here. Maybe I am, but like seriously, I was like, dude, like that hint of doubt and like knowing that like your title reign and like you're not the best in the world. Like, I brought all that up on the betting breakdown, man. But yeah, I mean, Diego Lopez is an absolute stud. So is Ige, but just Ige's a stud for different reasons. Like Lopez is a stud, is like this guy might be the best guy in the world. Ige's a stud, like everybody was going around on Twitter. Which once again, they stole our fucking shit, bro. The nuts wheelbarrow meme. Which I was so happy that that's finally got brought into the MMA Twitter's verse. But I was like, dude, we've been saying that in our pod for fucking years, literally.
Yeah, he literally just walks around nuts in a wheelbarrow. Shit is unbelievable. But that being said, I say we keep it pushing, even though it's a snooze fest. We have Anthony Smith taking on Roman Dolidze. Our dog of the week, which makes it much more. Yeah. It's even worse. Yeah, man. Honestly, this to me in my notes, I literally have this written as this was the death of Anthony Smith. Like for me, I'll never bet on him again. He's a full fade moving forward. I don't know what the fuck this shit was. I mean, and that sounds really rough, but I don't know what this was.
Everybody agreed. I was listening to Weighing In, John McCarthy's podcast, and he's usually like super like reluctant to say bad things about fighters. He was dunking on Anthony Smith, bro. Like he was like, dude, this is the worst shit I've ever seen. Like bro, terrible. John McCarthy does not fire off hot takes. Like he's usually super respectful to the fighters, and he was like, "What was that?" It's even hard to say anything remotely good about Anthony Smith, but I'll say this. You're saying you're fading Anthony Smith. Anthony Smith versus Vitor Petrino, I believe that was a full camp, if I'm not mistaken. So, like, I think I'm fading short notice Anthony Smith, but, like, with the camp and how dog shit this division is, I don't know if we can just – I feel you. He caught
a guillotine on Petrino. Let's not act like he beat his ass and then got his back and subbed. Like, he caught him on a shot.
So are you saying that that's like aging fluky?
I'm saying that when you put on this much of a dog shit performance against Roman Dolidze, a guy that's 20 pounds lighter than you, immediately following that, yeah, that was lucky that he caught a guillotine. That was Petrino making a young mistake against a savvy vet. That was like a Gerald Meerschaert type win, where like you put way too much credit into it because he just pulled some vet savvy bullshit, and it caught me this week. It caught me.
That's fair. I mean, in all honesty, but see, at the same time, like I feel you. Like I'll take full credit on like us. This was like, I guess you could say it was a bad bet, but like so. I don't make this type of speech often, but like this and the Ricky Simone bet, like we didn't get the fighter that we bet on. Like I know that sounds like the ultimate excuse maker bullshit. Like I really don't try to like live my life in like an excuse maker type of way, but like. This fight and the Ricky Simone fight, we bet on both of them, and just they both gave us just nothing. It'd be one thing like if the guy we bet on just wasn't the better guy, right? Like I'm sure your Jiri bet, which you acknowledge, you only bet Jiri as a fan. That was a heart bet, not a brain bet. I'm not trying to throw you under the bus, but that bet you're like, yeah, I bet on the guy that wasn't the better guy. Like the Anthony Smith and the Ricky Simone bets from yesterday. It's like, I don't know. Like we didn't get anything. Like, so like, yeah.
It's tough because I genuinely thought Anthony Smith was a better fighter than Roman Dolidze right now. That's clearly not the case. That is the exact same way I feel about Ricky Simone. I definitely thought he was better than Vinicius Oliveira. He clearly is not.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. And then like, Roman Dolidze wins rounds 1 and 2, just slightly more activity. The leg kicks. And round 1, he kind of wobbled Smith. You could argue it was a slip. I didn't think it was a great look for Smith.
How did you score this?
I scored it 1 and 2 Dolidze, 3 to Smith. So I agree with one judge.
I did as well.
Okay.
We both have it like Ron McCarthy. There is a judge that scored it 29-28 and had round 1 to Smith.
Oh, that's
really
out of pocket.
That's egregious.
No, that's really bad. That's really horrendous. Wow, I didn't even like enter that as a possibility. Wow.
And imagine scoring round 1 for him, but not round 3.
Yeah, that's actually insane. But then I would have been because that means you gave him the fight, or
you would have scored the fight for him. If you score round 1 for him, you got to give him 3, and then you got to give him the fight.
You got to give him 3, exactly, which he did not deserve to win. That's crazy. That's really, really bad, bro. But see, I'll say like even round 3, I gave him kind of tongue in cheek, and here's why I say that. I literally in my note, I was sarcastic in my own notes. I have activity and damage because it was something, but like calling that damage and calling that activity is almost like an oxymoron. Like it's like, but it was more so than Dolidze. But like I was like, I'm like even being sarcastic in my own notes.
It was quite literally the last 2.5 minutes. Like Dolidze, I think just was like, oh, I've won this fight, and Anthony Smith was like, fuck, I gotta do something, and like finally started to throw 1, 2, 3 punch combos, which was enough activity to win the round. Because either guy just needed to actually go for it.
Do anything at all, yeah.
Which we'll get to later in the heavyweights, but like...
And then there was that weird moment where like Dolidze was like dancing, and then like DC was like getting like mad about it. Which shout out to DC, because if I was in the building watching that bullshit, God forbid you paid money to watch that bullshit. You're like, what the fuck is this? Like DC like took offense as a fighter, like hey, this isn't what we do. Like you're making us look bad. It's like whenever I see like a football player like doing an arm tackle or some fucking bullshit. There was that Colorado State guy last year who got like went viral for like doing like a fucking arm tackle business decision type thing. And like he went viral and everybody was like, damn, if that was my son. Like it was like a viral little thing in the football Twitter community. And like I was just like, some shit like that. It's like, yeah, I take offense to that because like that's not what we do. Like you're giving like defensive players a bad name. Like DC took offense. Like, hey, like this ain't what the fuck we do. Like you're giving fighting, our whole sport, this promotion, like our brand. Like DC took exception with that, and I thought like I saw some people online didn't love that. I'm here for it.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more with DC. He essentially saw him dancing in front of him. Anthony Smith throws like a shitty leg kick on it, and then like laughs and like points at him, and
like daps him up. I think.
Yeah, and like it's like, oh, good one. And DC's like, man, I'd punch him in his mouth so hard for that. And it was like a visceral comment. Like he was like saying it not as a commentator, as like a human. He was like angry, like bro, if you dance in front of me, like, ooh, I'd smack the shit out of you for that.
Like this ain't what we do. Like you and me ain't the same thing.
And that's more my fate on Anthony Smith moving forward. Is like he's old, a lot of miles. I wonder if he's just collecting checks. Seems like he's just collecting checks on that performance.
Sure seems like it. And then Dolidze gets the dog shit win because let's not let Dolidze off the hook here either. Like he didn't look great or do much either. It's
at least
just
he
like,
took it on short notice, came up a weight class, and beat a ranked guy. Give him all those things.
Yeah, but I'm saying like he wasn't out there really lighting the world on fire. But fair points. Dolidze called out Hamzat, and I'm gonna
not the worst.
Hear me out.
Not the worst.
Hear me out. I have like a really cynical take as to why I actually want that fight to happen. And it's going to sound weird. Because it doesn't matter. We can no longer book Hamzat in fights that like matter.
Agreed.
So like it's a ranked guy.
That's a beautiful
take. It's a
take.
body. No, seriously, it's a ranked guy. It's a body. Probably like
and
featured match on a pay-per-view. Like you can't build a card around Hamzat. So that's not a main event fight. It's probably like a featured bout on a pay-per-view. And like you no longer book Hamzat in fights that matter. So, like, give him Dolidze. Who gives a fuck?
Well, and for anyone that's a Georgian MMA fan, because Dolidze is from Georgia, when Hamzat fights in the Middle East, because that's the only place he can fucking fight, they'll go there for that. So they can sell tickets on Dolidze's name all the same.
Yeah. No, I
cannot stand that
like
Hamzat can't fight in the U.S., by the way. I mean, might as well not be a champion. You can't be a champion if you can't fight in the U.S. It's just that simple.
I don't know if we'll have to worry about that, bro. Like, I don't know if Hamzat.
I'm just saying, like, forget it. It's not even a question if you can't fight in the U.S. Like, you can't fight these guys for the belt if you can't fight in the U.S.
I have a sneaking suspicion that, like, 10 years from now, we're going to talk about Hamzat the way we talk about, like, Derrick Rose, like the great what if.
I fully could see that, man. I fully could see that because it sounds like, too, like, it sounds like the Chechnyan dictator makes him continue to fight. Like, I don't know that... from a lot of people's accounts, Hamzat was, like, ready to retire, was ready to be done, and was just going to coach and, like, train on the side and do his thing. And, like, Kadyrov paid him a bunch of money and was like, you have to fight.
Really? That's another thing, man. Like, I don't know the nitty-gritty details, but it's like That Kadyrov shit, I don't think it's not a thing. Like, I think it is, because remember, this everybody keeps saying like, "Oh, this whole thing is weird." Well, you know, it's real weird being like in deep with this weird warlord dictator. Like,
Well, he
that's
coaches
weird.
his son in private lessons, so like clearly he does something with him.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I think. Do you think that's part of it? Like, even like some poisoning shit. Those Russians, like Putin poisons people all the time. Like he gets mysteriously sick every time he gets close to a fight. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not saying I have the answers. I'm just saying it's like the Kadyrov part of the Hamzat puzzle. Like, those two are forever linked, and like that's not a good thing.
Yeah, much the same as like Eagles MMA recently is now linked to terrorist activity in training camps and like with Islamic extremists. Like that's not a good thing. It's a forever scar. And like it's the same thing with having Kadyrov be one of your best friends and biggest supporters. It's just a
Hey,
forever.
unless your name's
Ali
Abdelaziz,
Abdelaziz,
yeah,
the rat terrorist. How's
the
Noah?
rat.
Shout out to Mystic Back, man. Conor McGregor getting literally a dub this weekend without fighting. It's unbelievable.
It is, man. We'll push it. We'll keep it pushing to this, if you want to call it, meaningful women's bantamweight fight.
It is.
And
It
a lot
is.
of
It is. Like I mean, 3 versus 7, and I think in a pretty boring division, we gotta at least give it the credit of. For me, this was like potential number one contenders kind of a match.
yeah, it really was. But yeah, because Aldana old,
I mean,
kind of
obviously
has
Kayla
already had her
Harrison's next
shot.
up, but
Kayla Harrison's got to be next. Rocky Pennington, inactive champ. You got Norma Dumont sitting there, but yeah, this whole division blows and just needs somebody like somebody, as Chael would say, that could fog a mirror to be in a title match. So Myra Bueno Silva already lost it, but former title challenger. Macy Chiasson, been highly ranked for a long time. I think she's been a girl that people have had their eyes on to like be a potential future title challenger for a long time. So I had a ticket with Bueno Silva minus 110. You had a ticket with Chiasson minus 110. So we were on different sides of this one, but neither one of us was super bullish with our pick. I think it's funny that we each got minus 110 because it finishes at Bueno Silva minus 105, Chiasson minus 115. I gave Bueno Silva round one, man. Did you?
yeah, for sure, man. Big punches, big knees. Saif Saud couldn't shut the fuck up, which remains constant for any fighter out of Fortis. Like he's gonna never shut the fuck up, which is crazy. I couldn't have been my coach. I was having problems watching the fight with how much he was calling shit out because it's like, dude, you're calling out too much shit.
No, I feel you. I was thinking the same thing. Like I was actually trying to put myself in like, is it even possible for a human to do all the things that Saif Saud
He's calling it out like
says?
it's a video game. Like it makes no sense. It's not
And
strategic.
then how real life works. Like by the time you call it out, that moment's passed because he's making like these reads real time, like he's like a video game. So even if your fighter listens to every word you said, you're putting them by definition like a beat behind.
Right.
Like even if they were able to do every single thing, which you say too much, so it's impossible for them to do everything you said. But even if they could, they're doing it a beat, a half a beat, 2 beats too late because you're seeing it, saying it. That's not how fighting works.
Couldn't agree more. Like that's the thing where your fighter has to see it and react themselves. You can't call the reaction and have them react to your reaction. That's a reaction to your reaction, not to the fighter in front of them. So it's like, it's the dumbest. I cannot stand him as a coach. And in fact, like, I will probably fade Chiasson now moving forward. It just felt like this was a very winnable fight for her. And now that being said, my round one notes, MBS looking unstoppable, essentially. I mean,
yeah,
10-9.
The head kick, the body work, the pressure, the damage. Yeah, I loved MBS's work.
I thought the only place Chiasson won in the first round was in the clinch, and I said that she still might have lost in that position from the knees. So it's like, I don't think Chiasson won a position in round one.
Agreed. Now, Chiasson, doctor stoppage aside, cut aside.
Nice elbow.
Nice elbow, but also nice takedown, nice top control. Like it wasn't just the elbow is my point that I was trying to get at. Like she made adjustments.
Fight IQ too.
Yeah, she made adjustments.
Hit the takedown out of the round, which I'll give Saif Saud credit there. Like if you want to coach your fighter in the
Fuck
corner,
that. I give Chiasson credit there, man. I give Chiasson credit there. because she came out. Because we always get on fighters when it's like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results. Shout out Yuri, but seriously, like Chiasson's round 2 looked nothing like round 1. Completely different approach. Like that's, I give the credit to Chiasson. Maybe I'm refusing to give it to Safe and Fortis, but like I give it to Chiasson.
Well, it's just like you never know if he told her like, "Hey, go shoot a takedown." Like you need to get on top. Like if he said that, you got to give him his credit there. But she deserves her credit for doing it, right? Which is
like relatively easy. Like she got the takedown easy, like early in the round. Like it was, I don't know. Yeah, Chiasson. They said everything's going to talk about the elbow and the cut, but she did a lot to get herself to that point.
You could argue one takedown and one elbow won this entire fight. I would hear
not
that
even
argument.
argue. I mean, that is the argument. I would argue that's like that's correct. But that's fighting. That's why this sport's cool. Like
By the
we
way,
talk about it all the time. If you're down 4 touchdowns in a football game, the best you can do is score 1 touchdown.
Right.
Like you can't score 4 touchdowns at once. That's what makes MMA sick. You can like be down and then 1 punch or 1 cut or 1 takedown. Like that's what makes the sport awesome.
Fully agree. Now, as far as we got to talk about, what the fuck is Chris Tognoni doing telling the doctor, like, well, so are you going to stop it or do I need to? Like, what kind of conversation was that? It was like both of them didn't realize they can both stop the fight if just one will decide that they don't want to let it continue.
Well, but see, all right, so I got a few things to say here. Like I said, I was listening to weighing in. John McCarthy roasted Tognoni. Another thing he rarely does. He usually is part of the fraternity, has the referee's backs. He threw Tognoni under the bus so hard, which made me like respect it. Like John McCarthy is the OG. Like Tognoni wasn't like upholding the standard that like professional UFC caliber refs like are expected to be held to.
So what did Big John say about it?
He leads me to my other take, like how neither one of them wanted to take ownership. And he blamed that on Tognoni. Because he said, like, basically, like, he doesn't like when the doctors take too much ownership. Like, that's your octagon.
I agree. That was my problem. The way this fight stoppage reads, bro, it says referee stops the contest on the advice of the ringside physician. Normally it says doctor stoppage or referee calls a stop, and it's, like, due to a cut, right? It's not... That reads weird. I've never seen it read that way.
Well, and there's a reason why. Like, they were both trying to push the buck. Like, they were literally like, no, you do it. No, you do it. Like, I don't want to have
It's the referee's job to stop the fight. It's the physician's job to advise the referee on his opinion. That's my take on it.
And no, and then John Anik also hinted on this. I listened to a little bit of Anik Floyd, and he said, like the exact verbiage was the doctor said it's too deep. The doctor still didn't say, like, stop it. He just said, like, till the very bitter end, they were each trying to push the buck. The doctor was like, it's too deep.
Well, and in the very end, he goes, it's too deep, in my opinion. He slid an in my opinion at the end.
It's
like, you're the medical physician, asshole. You're the only opinion that matters. You don't need to say in your opinion.
And then John McCarthy was also talking about how the horizontal cut, he said, like, if that was a vertical cut, and then John McCarthy got really in the weeds about it. He said, like, the big thing that they're supposed to look for is if the cut traverses across like multiple muscle groups. That he said, like, that's the thing. He said that it wasn't that. It was basically just like if you scrunch your forehead up, your forehead wrinkles. It was like basically like one of those opening up. And he said that, like, but like, see, now that's John McCarthy's take. We talked about the doctor, Tognoni, John McCarthy's take. I'll be real, like, just as a fan watching at home, for whatever my 2 cents is worth, and I even tweeted this from our @Beefy Breakdown on X account, is that's my takeaway was, and like, I worded it carefully for a reason, that's the kind of cut that gets a fight stopped.
Yes.
Like, I'm not
okay
saying
with
should have.
I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. It's justifiable.
The kind of cut that does get a fight stopped. You know 100%. What I mean? So it's okay. So like,
I couldn't agree more. That's the best way to say it, because it's not like, and that's the problem is, like, both Tognoni and the doctor were having that approach as well. Like
that's okay for me to do on Twitter, but that's not okay for like you're getting paid by the commission to like handle this scenario, like
to make a decision. Like, that is their job in the moment, is to make a decision on, and it's for the fighter's safety as why they're supposed to make that ruling.
And then, like, I remember, so immediately everybody started making the comparison to that one RoboCop fight, Gregory
Yeah.
Rodriguez fight. But I remember we were like, hey, like, we would have been cool if that one being stopped. Like, that was gnarly. So it's like, I don't know if that's the best comparison to go to. But the reason why that is a good comparison is because RoboCop went on to win that fight. And Bueno Silva was winning this fight and was absolutely begging to allow the fight to continue. The anti Chris Curtis, the anti Aljamain Sterling, she was like begging to let this fight continue, which, she gets all the kind of street cred for. And she was winning the fight, which is probably why she wanted it to keep going. So, and like I said, I had Bueno Silva on a super boosted plus 1,500 5-legger, which ultimately wouldn't have cashed anyway. But I don't know. I think the ref and the doctor mishandled it. All the fighters handled it well. Like I said, me as a fan, I was okay with the stoppage, but it's just not how they arrived at that conclusion. But we can keep it pushing.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Actually,
we got to talk about what's next for Chiasson.
Yeah,
because when Silva loses, I don't really give a shit. Not to be unfair to the bantamweights, but like, she's gonna fight someone that's 5-10, and I just don't really give a shit. More so, I want to talk about Chiasson. What do you do next with her? Does she wait and just try to snipe an outside title shot? What are you thinking?
Yeah, so exactly, because I'm bro, and it's crazy. I like really deliberated on this. This division is such a nightmare, and all these girls have fought each other. This division is such a nightmare. But I had to move Chiasson kind of reluctantly up to 3 in my power rankings.
I mean, yeah, that's where I have her. Well, yeah, right behind.
I have Kayla Harrison. So I have Kayla Harrison, Raquel Pennington, Macy Chiasson.
Oh,
it's my power ranking.
Not champion, right? Okay.
Yeah. But
that's probably fair. I mean, that's probably about right. I would have Pena above Chiasson still, probably.
Really? See, I have Pena really low. But let's not forget her last outing, the worst beating I've ever seen, and that was like 2.5 years ago. And she hasn't fought since. She's quasi-retired. So
I agree, but that's Amanda Nunes, and none of these girls are even close to that. Maybe Kayla Harrison is. Raquel Pennington is dog shit.
Agree, but like I kind of have to put her at 2 because she's beat all these girls. She's even beaten Chiasson already.
Well, I'm just saying Pena hasn't lost any of these girls except for Nunes, though.
Because she doesn't fight ever.
Well, I'm just saying, though, it's hard for her to lose a power ranking when she's only lost to the greatest female fighter of all time.
Worst ass whooping I've ever watched with my own 2 eyes, and it was 2.5 years ago.
She's 1-1.
But and she's old. I don't know. There's a lot of things. I'm not feeling Pena at all. I have her at 10.
That's just because you haven't seen her fight in a long time. Like, she's better than Chiasson.
That's a crazy way to word it. It's not that she's fought and I haven't seen it. It's that she hasn't fought.
She was signed to fight, and then Nunes retired.
Fight someone else. Nunes ain't coming back, man.
Did she not?
She ain't coming back for Pena. She may come back for Kayla. She ain't coming back for Pena. Fight somebody, man.
I just don't know how Pena and Pennington's not already booked and sold.
Agreed, and that's what I'm getting at. But as the time goes on, I do believe in ring rust. I do believe in age affecting 35-pound fighters.
What if we get our cake and eat it too, and we have Kayla Harrison dispose of Macy Chiasson in a guaranteed #1 contenders match, and we have Pennington and Pena settle out some snoozy bullshit so that neither of those girls really gets a chance?
See, I was gonna say the other. I was gonna say just book Harrison Pennington because that's the only fight that matters at all in this whole division. And then I think you do Pena Chiasson for the #1 contenders match.
Once again, I'm okay with that too. That was my original take, is that's probably the fights they should make based on skill, based on Pena kind of dodging girls, in my opinion. I mean, not really, but kind of, if you want to consider it that way.
Oh, I do. 1,000%.
Yeah, I'm fully okay with it. But yeah, man, I say we keep it pushing.
Let's keep it pushing to another snooze. Actually, that fight was good. We thought it was going to be a snoozy. They got after it. Shout out to Chiasson and Bueno Silva. They got after it.
Oh, yeah. I thought you meant this next fight.
No. But I just want to shout that out real quick. We spent all week kind of saying that this fight was going to be dog shit, and it wasn't. They got after it. The ladies got after it.
Well, we gave them 14 minutes, so they got plenty of time.
For sure, brother. Yeah, introduce this next fight. I'm gonna grab a white claw real quick.
For sure, we got Ian Garry at -1 or -160 taking on Michael Venom Page +130. I have it right here. What am I saying? I think it's +135. Could be +130. +135. Michael Venom Page, ranked number 14. It's so weird. I always say Michael Venom Page because that's just his nickname. And I always say Ian Garry, but his real name is Ian Machado Garry. Shout out to those guys for having terrible names, both of them. Ian Garry, ranked number 7. Yeah, essentially Dominic alluded to it in our breakdown. We thought this fight would be kind of a snoozy, all-distance affair where if they did clinch, Garry was going to win those exchanges, but we thought MVP would be smart enough to not clinch as much or be able to keep his back on the fence and avoid some of those bad positions. In round 1, he throws a kick, gets it caught, gets taken down, almost gets choked. I don't know how the fuck he got the hands off of his neck at one point. Easy 10-9 Garry, but no damage for either guy. And if there was damage, Michael Page was probably 50-50.
Yeah, no, Ian Garry ate a few of those quick right hands, and he's like, "Hey, BRB, I'm gonna go grab my singlet real quick, my gi real quick." Like,
quite literally, bro. It was very obvious who was the better striker. Was it not? Was it not who was obviously faster and just overall better at striking? Not mixed martial arts, but striking.
Yeah, see, that's my takeaway here because it'd be real. Like everybody's already done this fight sucked. Take it did. Everybody's already done the whole.
I thought MVP landed
Garry
some
overrated.
If the fight was like round 2, I think MVP would knock Garry out if he was able to avoid the takedowns. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but here's my point. Like, shout out to Garry for having a fight IQ
and being a mixed martial artist. I mean,
it's not the popular take to say nice things about Ian Garry right now, but like real talk, I'm gonna choose to like view this as glass half full for Ian Garry, man. Like, you're right. He realized very quickly he wasn't about to outstrike Michael Venom Page, but instead of fighting with his ego, instead of being a dipshit like Kevin Holland Wonder Boy, right? Like he won the fucking fight, dog. Like at this level, like it was like a quarterfinals match. This wasn't a number 1 contenders match, but like this gets Ian Garry a number 1 contenders match, and like he couldn't fuck this up. And he
might be his hardest possible matchup. To be fair to Ian Garry, outside of like Shavkat and those guys, like those are going to be matchup nightmares for anyone because they're just so good. But as far as like the Michael Page, that nullifies everything Ian Garry does against his opponents, like we talked about in our breakdown. Like, and I talked about it. Could he land a leg kick? Could he land a body kick? No, he could not. Could he land a strike at distance? No, he could not.
Well, like I just like I said, man, like I didn't really expect to just straight up like try to give Ian Garry his flowers, but like it's kind of I think anything else is kind of a lazy take, man. Like Ian Garry's thing that he's second best at. He's a striker. His wrestling and grappling is his default plan B, right?
Oh yeah.
And like that was he beat Michael Venom Page like with his plan B. Like he's good. Bro.
Yeah, that's one
he's
way to
really
say that.
Good.
That's one way to say that. That's a spin doctor narrative though, because if you're gonna spin it, great. He lost on the feet at his best asset and fell back to his second best asset, which is much better than Michael Venom Page's second best asset. Is a more true way to say what you just said.
And see, I don't even disagree with that. I just like I said, I'm viewing it glass half full. Like it's mixed martial arts. Like it's like I'm trying to think of a good example. But like it's mixed martial arts. I get it.
I get it. Like yeah. I'm happy for Ian Garry, but it also did show that like, I mean, his striking, while it may be near the top, it's not number 1, but it's definitely in the top 5. However, his grappling probably still top 10 for the division. So you mix them together, yeah. I mean, he comes out looking good, smelling good. It's a good win. Like, it's a crucial win in his career, in my opinion.
Like, if I was building a character on the UFC video game, I'd want it to be that. I'd want it to be like
now the
tier 1.
The problem with it is that like this win isn't like a shining win because MVP is so hard to do that against. Like the only guy that's ever done it caught him. Like if we're talking about the one time MVP has been on the wrong end of a highlight. It's not like he was getting his ass beat. Like, he got caught in a transition.
See, and this
MVP's a hard guy to get highlights off of, is I guess my point. Like, this is going to be a hard one for Ian Garry to come out shining out of.
Yeah, and I think that's fine. And I don't think, like, I think it's the best win of his career. Is another way to put it. You can phrase it
I
that way.
100% agree with that. I couldn't. Yes,
Yeah.
and because like he literally faced a style that is counterintuitive to what he is best at, and was still able to use his mixture of martial arts to overcome that, and that's impressive to me. Like that is the definition of this sport.
Agreed, man. Yeah, I think so. It's kind of the lazy take to kind of dunk on Ian Garry for putting on a snooze fest when it's like, hey, man, he solved the Michael Venom Page puzzle with which like what 3 men on Earth have been able to solve. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, and then I guess we can go round by round and continue. So we both gave Garry one. Round two, I thought was very close, but I gave it to Michael Page. The damage on the feet, he got up from the takedown. Garry had a little bit of control in that bullshit heel hook attempt, but that was going nowhere. I gave Page two. I assume you did as well.
yeah, and Page also ended up with control time in round two as well. I mean, that's Gary's
Yep.
holding him on top, but it's not like Gary's winning that position for that, in my opinion.
Yep. And then in round three, I mean, Garry was basically losing the round until he took the back, and he took the back for like the last 2 minutes of the round,
It's
which
crazy. He kind of pulled the shit out of the fire. Like I kind of
he
had that
did.
thought in my head. Like whenever he got the takedown, it was like, oh wow. And then he got to the back, and it was like, even without the damage, if he can just hold the back for 2 minutes, it's probably enough to steal this round out. Which is, and it wasn't even like good back control. Like he was about to get shucked off if another minute and a half goes by. Nothing happens there. He's way too high to get a sub, but MVP can't do anything.
Yeah, exactly. It's like in a round where MVP wasn't really able to. He had some top control himself, but it felt like he got a lot of damage off. But I mean, you spend the last 2.5 minutes of the round on somebody's back. Hard to not give you that round. I mean,
I
just
agree.
blanket statement. But yeah, man, Ian Garry gets the win, improves to 15-0. I mean, the only thing this doesn't help him in the real rankings. In my power rankings, I have Michael Page as like I had him at 5. I moved him to 6. Um, and Garry, he's at 7. Maybe he moves up to 6 in the real rankings or whatever. But man, the only people I have above Ian Garry in my power rankings are Leon Edwards and Shavkat Rakhmonov, dude. Like I think everybody that's not named those two guys, including Kamaru Usman. I don't know if 37-year-old Kamaru Usman beats Ian Garry, man. I'm not convinced he does.
Yeah, no, I agree 100% with that. I don't think Colby beats him. I don't think. I mean,
Yeah,
well, you know what's weird though is I'm going to say these names: Usman, Muhammad, Covington, Burns. They're all old. They're all going to age out
yeah.
within 2 years. So,
And same thing with Bilal, bro. Like the
oh, that's what I
body
said,
types
Muhammad.
match. I know, no, I know. But I'm just saying, like, I think Garry probably looks great against a guy like Bilal Muhammad. Like matchup wise, like
But here's what I'm saying: is if you're Ian Gary, just don't even worry about fighting him, and just try to fight JDM or Shavkat or Leon. Like, just try to fight the guys that matter because those are the guys that are going to be there. So if you don't fight the other guys age out, and you don't even have to ever have considered them as a challenge.
yeah, I don't disagree with that. Yeah, I thought it was pretty wild, and I guess hats off to Ian Garry because not many people have ever put this man's name in their mouth. He called out Shavkat,
He
man.
did, which was crazy. Now,
And
that could be like a fool's errand, or it could be the smartest thing he's ever done. It's one of those things where like that either ages great or it ages horribly.
I agree. Like I would bet Shavkat in that fight. And apparently, because Ian Garry said some shit like, "Oh, I used to train with that guy. I respect him, but I'm not scared of him. I'll fight him." And then Shavkat tweeted, he was like, "You must have forgot how those training sessions went." I mean, that's how I would have imagined it went. Like, I think Shavkat can handle Ian Garry, but
I think
you
JDM would
know,
be a super fun fight for Ian Gary because JDM likes to get in your face in the fire and fight like that, whereas Ian Gary likes to have the distance. But they're both going to strike, and they can both grapple decently well.
yeah. See, I think Garry it might look similar to this fight. I think Garry may realize he can just out grapple Jack Della
I don't know if he
and
can
take
do it as easily. And JDM
no.
also keeps a tighter pocket. He doesn't keep the distance like that. He likes to be in close.
At the end of the day, I would much rather see the JDM fight. Well,
I mean, who
I
has better
say
grappling,
that.
Burns or Gary? Like Gilbert Burns, 100%.
So I do think like body type and shit
I think
factors
you
in.
might be sold on Ian Gary all of a sudden. That grappling wasn't that's Michael Venom Page he was getting takedowns on and not submitting. That was not amazing last night.
No. I'm just saying, like, I don't. I think against Jack Della, I think that may like if he mixes it up a little more, I think that'd be like a path to victory. But what I'm saying is, I mean, I have Shavkat power ranked one. Like, I think Shavkat beats Leon. I think Shavkat beats Bilal. I think Shavkat beats Ian Garry. I think Shavkat's the motherfucking one. I think he's him. I'm like Laura Senko over here. I yeah, I mean, we can keep it pushing, but that's basically my welterweight breakdown. I think that was a very, very, very hard test for Garry to pass that not many guys would have signed up for. I think that mainly due to age, the only people I see beating Ian Garry as we sit today are Shavkat and Leon. And he called out Shavkat. I would bet Shavkat, but credit to Ian Garry for even putting that man's name in his mouth. Not many people would be willing to do that. I've never heard anybody call out Shavkat ever.
Let me give you one last question before we wrap it up. How out, scale 1 to 10, how out are you on Michael Venom Page and Wonderboy fighting?
Oh, I'm not out at all. That sounds perfect. Like that's like
Sweet.
probably
That's what
what
I
needs
want
to
to see.
happen. Yeah.
I think that's one where the fans are either like, because they see this fight and they're like, oh, fuck that, boo. Like, they're going to keep the distance. But I think those guys just karate point fight, and that shit is awesome.
Well, yeah, Wonderboy ain't about to take his back and hold him down. Yeah, no,
They'll make a gentleman's agreement, no takedowns like Wonderboy did with Kevin Holland.
no, I agree. I think that's basically the only fight to make, right? I
And
mean,
they're
what
both
else would you
old. They're
do?
both karate point stylists, like world champions. Like, that fight's so
Yeah,
fun.
you're gonna give Jeff. You're gonna give him Jeff Neal. You're gonna give him. I guess you could do MVP Gilbert Burns, but like, why MVP Colby Covington? Might could sort of work, maybe.
I like MVP
Uh,
Wonderboy. Get MVP back on track. Get
no, I
Wonderboy
agree.
out, and
But that's what I'm saying. Like, what else would you do? Like, you might as well do MVP Wonder Boy. Like, nothing else really makes sense. Like, maybe MVP Colby, maybe. That's a big maybe.
Colby's
But
not
yeah,
taking it is the problem because Colby's just such a douche.
yeah, Colby ain't taking anything
I
apparently,
know,
right?
yeah.
I
Like
mean,
he's just. I hate
he's on
Colby
that
Covington.
Juliana Pena diet, right? We just
He's
talked
worse
about
because
it.
he's been like publicly about that diet for ever since the Usman fights. Like he can't get off that shit.
For sure, brother. But that wraps up the main card.